Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Good evening, I'm Jennifer Lindgren. Investigators are trying to figure out what or who started a fire that heavily damaged part of the Chemung County Fairgrounds Sunday morning. As Big Fox's Matt Kleindienst reports, the fire has been ruled suspicious by the sheriff's office.
That's right, Jennifer. Police are trying to determine whether or not arson was the cause behind an early morning fire at the Chemung County Fairgrounds. The Chemung County Sheriff tells me that his office is working on several strong leads. County officials were on hand to assess the damage from a fire near the Chemung County Fairgrounds grandstands. According to police, the first reports of a fire were called in around 6:30 on Sunday morning.
Somebody was driving down Grand Central Ave and looked over and noted a fire under the grandstands, specifically in the area of all the concession stands.
As local fire crews fought the fire, officers noticed that the horse barn had also been broken into, leading the sheriff's office to rule the fire suspicious.
A truck had been stolen from there, which we certainly would surmise are related, both incidents.
That truck, a 2015 red Chevy Silverado, was found abandoned by police earlier this afternoon. Sheriff Schramm says his office is following up with several strong leads and hopes to wrap up the investigation sooner rather than later.
We feel very good where the investigation is at. It's just a matter of following up on a few things that we need to take care of.
County officials will continue to evaluate the extent of the damage done to the grandstands. Matt Kleindienst, Big Fox, WYDC in Corning.
The Green Shamrock is back on Hanover Square in preparation for the 2022 Horseheads St. Patrick's Parade. Yesterday morning, the Horseheads Fire Department took part in the annual Shamrock painting along South Main Street. This year marks the first time Horseheads has held the parade since 2019. The festivities kick off on Saturday at 2 p.m. We turn now to the latest on the Russia invasion of Ukraine. The humanitarian crisis is worsening across Eastern Europe as Ukrainians continue to seek refuge in neighboring countries. Lauren Blanchard is in Korchowa, Poland, with the latest on what's happening in the region.
As the refugee crisis in Ukraine deteriorates, we are hearing stories of survival and resilience from people crossing into neighboring countries. Hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian women and children continue to pour over the border and into countries like here in Poland, as the Russian invasion creates a devastating refugee situation across parts of Europe. According to the United Nations, more than 1.7 million people have fled Ukraine. Families are feeling the pain and sorrow of leaving the country they call home.
We had a very good life in Ukraine, in Kyiv. We love our country, but we left to our children would have a future.
There were horrible things happening. They will haunt me at night. I will never be able to sleep.
The war entered its 12th day Monday, and scenes at train stations remain the same. Families packing trains to escape the country before it's too late. With Russian troops intensifying attacks on Kiev and other major cities, there's a growing sense that train service in the country may soon be shut down.
My feeling is that I'm afraid about tomorrow. I'm not afraid about now. Most of all, I'm afraid about tomorrow. What will happen in Ukraine next? What's the next day?
U.S. officials confirmed Monday Russia has now deployed nearly 100% of its pre-staged forces into Ukraine. Over the weekend, the Pentagon positioned an additional 500 troops in the region, bringing the number of American forces in Europe to 100,000.
Shell is defending its decision to buy discounted oil from Russia. Last week, Shell bought 100,000 metric tons of crude oil from Russia at a heavily discounted price. And the company defends that decision by saying it would commit the profits to a fund for humanitarian aid in Ukraine. The purchase did not violate any Western sanctions, but Shell says it didn't make the decision lightly, knowing the strong sentiment about the situation. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky makes an urgent plea to the world as Russia escalates its attacks on his country. Zelensky addressed the global community on Instagram, calling for people around the world to join the fight against Russia. He said, in part, "We've never dreamed of killing, but we are forced to get the enemy away from our lives and our land. We are deciding the future of the continent with our resistance, as well as our friends with their help." He also called for more sanctions against Russia and asked for military assistance, saying that will provide the needed strength. President Biden requests $10 billion for humanitarian efforts, military and economic support in Ukraine. As Ukraine continues to fight Russian invaders, the president says he will not send American troops to the battle, but Ukrainian President Zelensky would receive funds and equipment if the spending is approved. South Korea's ruling Democratic Party leader was attacked days ahead of the country's elections. Democratic Party Chairman Sung Young-il was campaigning in Seoul for the party's presidential candidate when a stranger suddenly came up to him from behind and struck him in the head several times with a hammer-like object. The incident was caught on camera by a person at the rally. Aides rushed to his side and Song was taken to a nearby hospital for treatment. The suspect was hauled away by police. Local media identified the attacker as a 70-year-old man. 7 people, including 2 children, died in a tornado that ripped through several counties southwest of Des Moines. Robert Ray is in Winterset, Iowa, with details on the recovery efforts.
Property, everything can be repaired or replaced except for life.
It was the deadliest weather event here in more than a decade. A massive EF3 tornado hitting central Iowa over the weekend, slamming into the city of Winterset and other nearby towns with a radius of almost 14 miles. At least 7 people are dead and many others wounded. And folks here are just starting to pick up the pieces as they inspect the damage to their homes and businesses.
We barely made it to the basement. I had just gotten through the door to the basement when it hit the house.
The tornado, packing winds of 155 miles an hour, was spawned from thunderstorms that moved through an area Saturday night, fueled by warm air from the Gulf of Mexico. It destroyed more than 4 dozen homes. Roads remain blocked by downed power lines and tree branches, and about 10,000 people were without power, though those services have been largely restored. Officials say the damage bill could be as high as $1 billion, and Governor Kim Reynolds is promising a quick recovery effort, which she says is already underway.
It's just unbelievable. I tried to walk through and thank them for being there, and over the response was, "We're Iowans, and that's what we do."
The White House says President Biden has reached out to local officials and offered federal help as the damage assessment continues in this part of the state.
Stay with us. Your complete workweek forecast is coming up.
Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
I'm meteorologist Cassie Clavin. Thanks so much for tuning in. It is going to be breezy overnight tonight into early tomorrow morning, and then tomorrow afternoon we're going to be feeling those cooler temperatures and then more snow. That's going to be in the forecast for Wednesday. Overall, we have a very winter-like forecast for at least the first portion of the week. So tonight, temps drop down to 27 degrees. We'll continue to see a bit of that wintry mix, and our winds will blow in about 11 to 21 miles per hour. Make sure everything out there is secure tonight, as we are expecting to see our wind gusts up to about 50 miles per hour at times. And then behind that, some wintry mix that's going to continue into first thing tomorrow morning, gradually clearing out, and then we'll see the sunshine. We'll see sunshine by tomorrow afternoon, although our temperature is not heating up too much. Then Wednesday, we'll start to see clouds roll in. It'll be a cloudy start to the day on Wednesday, and then we are expecting to see this snow. That's going to push in by Wednesday afternoon into the evening hours. We'll be keeping a close eye on that forecast as that snow moves in. Temperatures, like I said, Tuesday morning will be in the 20s. Not a bad start. A bit of a wintry mix as we get things going on Tuesday. And then by Tuesday afternoon, temps heat up to 40 degrees. So we're going to be staying below average for this time of year. Our winds, they won't be quite as bad as we head into tomorrow afternoons, about 6 to 11 miles per hour overall. Taking a closer look at our temperatures on Tuesday, we'll be in the upper 30s to right near 40 degrees. chilly day, but at least we are going to see peaks of sunshine through the afternoon hours. Wednesday morning, temps are going to be in the mid-20s, so we'll start to see some improvement, at least temperature-wise. We'll be clear, quiet start to the day before we are expecting to see that snow that's going to be moving in as we head into Wednesday afternoon. With the temperatures looking like they'll be in the mid-40s, we could see a bit of a wintry mix with this. These temperatures are just slightly warmer than average for this time of year. So we'll be keeping a very close eye on that forecast. And then as we look at the extended outlook, we're on a bit of a temperature roller coaster right now. We're going to get a break from the precipitation on Thursday. We are expecting to see plenty of sunshine, temperatures warming up into the upper 40s. And then Friday, things could get interesting. We'll see a high temp about 50 degrees. We are expecting to see precipitation starting on Friday, sticking around through the weekend. Isolated showers, isolated snow showers, and a bit of a wintry mix, all expected over the 3 days.
If the winter blues have you feeling down, you're not alone. Researchers say millions of Americans deal with seasonal affective disorder, or SAD. Sal Giangrasso explains what it is and how people suffering can help themselves.
In just about 2 weeks, it'll officially be spring, but people across the country are still dealing with winter.
I like the snow, and then I like to be here and working.
But not everyone likes wintry weather. When we deal with snow and shorter days, and when some people experience seasonal depression, it's not clear who will get symptoms. Researchers estimate 3% of the U.S. population experiences seasonal depression every year. It's more likely people will deal with the disorder in the fall or winter, but some people actually have symptoms in the summer. And as many as 20% of the population in northern states, like Michigan, may experience the disorder.
Women are more likely to develop seasonal depression. About 4 times more women will experience seasonal depression than men.
Researchers say they don't know why. Adding children as young as 6 years old have been diagnosed with seasonal depression. Some people experience the disorder later in life when they're starting to age.
You can take some easy measures at home to counteract or treat yourself for seasonal depression.
That includes making sure you get natural light in the morning and considering the use of a light therapy lamp daily for 30 minutes. You'll also want to eat healthy, exercise, and ensure you get a proper amount of vitamin D. Doctors say people who are affected should start to feel better in a matter of weeks after trying these tips.
The coronavirus pandemic created a boom for online retailers, but now more physical retail stores are reopening their doors fully and loosening restrictions, and some chains are starting to reimagine their store layouts and spaces. Chris DeMeo has more on some of the new features you may soon see.
Consumer spending started the year on a positive note. The latest data revealing retail sales surged nearly 4% in January, but economists say that statistic doesn't tell the whole picture about the progress retailers have made since the holiday shopping season.
About half the retail sales increases are due to inflation.
And it's inflation and other economic pressures that has some retailers trying to stay competitive.
Come up with new, fresh strategies to compete with the online channel.
Dick's Sporting Goods is enhancing its customer experience with a rock wall in its House of Sport concept.
One strategy that is being used is to launch just a couple of concept stores to experiment with some new strategies.
Whole Foods just opened its first store with cashierless technology in Washington, D.C., and has plans to open another location in Los Angeles and possibly expand beyond that. Cameras and sensors track the items customers want, and then they're charged when they leave. Target plans to open more than 200 additional Ulta stores in its locations around the country. And Casper, which sells sleep products, has opened its premier branded store within a store at a Bed Bath & Beyond in New York City.
Integrating digital devices like mobile phones and interactive displays into the store to make shopping more convenient and also to enhance the sensory experience in a store as well.
But despite all those new strategies, retailers face an uphill battle to try and hold on to profits this year. A truck driver shortage and the supply chain crisis remain. And the crisis in Ukraine is driving up prices of some business expenses, including fuel.
The IRS wants to beef up its workforce to help its backlog of tax processing. The tax agency says it would like to add 10,000 new workers, according to a report. The IRS still has 10 million personal tax returns and 4 million business returns to finish processing, in addition to starting on a new tax season. However, the Professional Managers Association is skeptical the IRS can fulfill that wish, saying it sounds like an extension of a previous goal to hire 5,000 workers, and only 200 were hired. The IRS has shifted 1,200 employees to deal with the backlog. Shell is defending its decision to buy oil from Russia. More companies are severing ties with that country, and the Batman cleans up at the box office. CJ Papa has these stories and more in today's Fox Business Briefs.
Shell says it will donate profits from purchases of Russian oil to efforts to alleviate the humanitarian crisis in Ukraine. The company says it will choose alternatives to Russian oil where possible, but says its refiners require some Russian oil to keep producing gas. American Express will suspend operations in Russia over its military invasion of Ukraine. Globally issued American Express cards will no longer work at merchants or ATMs in Russia. Cards issued by Russian banks inside the country will no longer work outside of Russia on the American Express global network. Stolichnaya Vodka announces a rebrand. It will now be sold and marketed as Stoli. The liquor has been marketed as Russian vodka, but is produced in Latvia, the company making sure none of its ingredients are sourced from Russia. And as the country continues to reopen and mandates disappear, Americans are heading back to theaters. The Batman notched an estimated $128.5 million at the box office in its opening weekend. It's the best opening so far this year, and only the second picture to cross $100 million in its launch since December of 2019, trailing only Spider-Man No Way Home, which earned $260 million in its debut back in December.
The dollar is now at its highest level in 2 years. Analysts say that's because Russia's war on Ukraine is creating concern about the worldwide economy and the financial markets. The U.S. dollar serves as the backbone of the global economy. During times of economic uncertainty, investors tend to stock up. The downside, a stronger dollar can bring down profits for companies that do business abroad, and the dollar's strength may harm developing economies, which often service their debt in dollars. A national discount chain of stores is ready to go into big hiring mode. Dollar General says it's going to employ 10,000 new workers by the end of this fiscal year. The company will fill the new positions for stores, distribution centers, and its private fleet of drivers. That'll mean about a 6% boost to its current workforce. Dollar General is also planning to open another 1,110 stores nationwide. The chain opened its 18,000th store in November and operates locations in 46 states. Thinking about that hot cup of cocoa after your workout? A new study finds it might not be a great help after your routine. The research from the American Chemical Society revealed consumption of cocoa has little impact alleviating exercise-related digestive stress like nausea or diarrhea. Scientists studied 54 fit male athletes for 10 weeks following an intense workout program. The participants replaced their usual diets with cocoa or starch powder. The analysis found their symptoms did not significantly improve or stop at the end. However, researchers said further studies are needed to see cocoa's effects on women. We want to leave you with a smile. Papa John's hires Atlanta Braves players during this MLB lockout. A couple of the players took a shift at the popular franchise on Friday. The company announced the call for their preseason Pizza Bros for those players willing to take the position on Tuesday on their Twitter page. The players quickly responded on the same platform. The business said those hired will receive the same benefits all company employees get, like a 401k, life insurance, vision and dental plans, even paid vacations. Thanks for joining us. Have a great rest of your day.